after, we go to Earth, which is, they also die in an accident. I know, it sounds very grim, but we gotta keep going forward. So, after that, we go to Fire, and the Fire Nation and Ozai does not know that Zuko is the Avatar. And they are not aware the cycle's on fire. They are not aware these events happen like 83 years. So, after that, nothing really happens throughout Zuko's childhood. He does not bend any other element besides fire. It is only when he is banished and he is sent on a quest to capture the Avatar, but he does not know he's the Avatar, so he goes on a search. So one day on the ship, they basically are like near like the original scene in Avatar, but Zuko gets mad at Iroh. So there are these little pebbles on the ship, and he gets mad and he bends the little pebbles at Iroh. And this is basically a shock because Zuko does not realize what he has done, but Iroh has realized that those rocks have moved in a very specific way. It's as if he bent Earth. So Iroh says to point that out, and he says to try again, and luckily it does. And they realize that something is going on, that Zuko might be the Avatar, as he is bending another element besides fire. So basically, he has been searching for the Avatar, but it is himself. So this is a shocking discovery, as he realizes that he has two options. He can go home or die, or he can survive and protect the world as his duty now. But he has to accept it, so it's gonna take time for that to happen. So Iroh discusses his plans and guide for finding a way to master the other three elements: earth, water, and air. But they know airbenders are probably at this point is extinct because Aang was supposed to be the last airbender, but now he's dead, so they have to figure out a way of how to learn on their own. But the easiest two elements are earth and water. But since they're in like the southern region right now, they could maybe find a water bender teacher, but it's either the southern and northern tribes. So basically, I'm not sure if Zuko or Iroh would know the location of that. So let's say that they both plan to go to the southern water tribe, as they think it's the closest and might save some time. So after that, maybe weeks or days passed by, and I think that they're starting to consider to take action into their plans. So their idea is that they can't have anybody in the Fire Nation be aware of this, because we have enemies like Zhao and Azula, which will probably try and kill Zuko, you know? Because, think about it, if they know he's the Avatar, and if he's not on their side, they might have to kill him. So, after that, they'll basically decide to set the course, but all other non-important firebender soldiers or Fire Nation soldiers get kicked off the ship into the water, and they decide to... So, after they kick out all the soldiers from the ship, they also think about how they're going to approach the Southern Water Tribe. And if they are wearing their Fire Nation clothes, they're probably going to not be taken seriously, as they might be afraid of them. So the idea is that they have to disguise themselves, but it's going to be impossible because they have like no other spare clothes, I guess. So they might have to approach this slowly. So next time we will discuss on how Zuko and Iroh will explore the Southern Water Tribe and what they might do and how they might further plan their actions. So after that, we're also going to talk about the other series, which I have not finished yet, but I will soon. Finish it. So, to basically recap what happened last time, was Zuko and Iroh have abandoned their soldiers in hopes of searching for a waterbending teacher, and they plan to head towards the Southern Water Tribe to accomplish that. Throughout the time they travel towards their destination, Iroh and Zuko are thinking of what is the next element they will try to master, which is probably going to be earthbending. Time passes, and after arriving at the Southern Water Tribe, they are searching for village members, asking if they have any waterbending teachers. The village leader, Gran, says there's only one waterbender, which she doesn't even think she's a master at it. Now, the other village members are also kind of distressed at seeing a Fire Nation ship and wonder what they want to do. And Iroh explains that Zuko is the Avatar, and he's a firebender who wants to stop the Fire Nation from world domination. Now, remember that this Zuko has had a little bit more time for character development than one in the main timeline, so that's why he shows up more of his good side now. So that is what we're accomplishing in this story. Next, we cut to the point where Sokka makes his first appearance and charges at Zuko like in canon, and Zuko just easily dodges it and counters Sokka's attacks. It says he has not come here to fight, as he's the Avatar and wants to spread peace. Sokka has a hard time believing this, while he is sitting on the ground in defeat. Katara then steps out to see what is happening. Iroh and Zuko ask her if she's the only waterbender here. Katara responds yes. Katara always talks about how she's not that good at waterbending. Well, Zuko kinda is annoyed that he wasted his time and less time to stop the Fire Lord from world domination. So Iroh says you have to have patience, Zuko. These people might be beneficial, and with a bit of trust, maybe we can form friendships. Iroh explains that they are on a quest to master all 4 elements. Firebending isn't a problem because he's a good firebending teacher himself. It's only earth, air, and water they need to master. So, this is also a lot of information for Sokka and Katara to take in, as they are apparently a good firebender, as unlike in the original story, Aang went penguin sliding to gain Katara's trust, and the thing is Sokka was still skeptical, so he would still be skeptical right now. So Fire Nation has taken most of the waterbenders there. Sokka would tell them, how can we trust a firebender after what they have done? Iroh says not every firebender has evil in their heart. as they are on a mission to stop the Fire Nation, even if it means going against their leader. They must do something about it. Sokka, Katara, and a few other people from the tribe are not convinced that these are not normal firebenders. They're so kind and not evil like the rest of them. Yeah, because, like, why would they talk to them and not immediately attack them? So, basically, they plan to eventually go to places that will teach Zuko how to master water and the other elements. Iroh says it might be beneficial for Sokka and Katara to come aboard the ship for experience and join them on their adventures. So Sokka and Katara are still a little hesitant to join them, knowing that they are both firebenders, but Katara says they might actually have good intentions. Sokka still doesn't fully trust them, but tags along anyways because he wants to protect his sister. As also, Sokka needs to a lot of time to gain person's trust, like in canon. So Sokka and Katara both say their goodbyes and head off into the unknown. Iroh and Zuko discuss their plans about what will they do now, as the other water tribe is on the other side of the world, and the closest would be to learn earth bending. So we probably should go to a place that teaches that. Iroh still thinks Bumi could help teach Zuko earthbending, but no, that probably would not be the best idea or choice, as Bumi has to free Omashu from the Fire Nation. Zuko says maybe we can help Bumi retake Omashu. Iroh says that, but it might be a risky idea, but I think it's worth it. After that, they plan to go to Omashu to learn earthbending. Sokka asks Zuko if he is evil, just like those firebenders once again. Zuko says he can never side with the Fire Nation after what they did to the nations trying to conquer them. Iroh interrupts them to say that originally Zuko was trying to capture the Avatar, but now he knows his destiny has changed. We plan to travel the world so Zuko could master all elements and take down the Fire Lord. After that, a few days pass as the group begins to get familiar with each other and get to know them better. Iroh also has been teaching Zuko how to master and learn more about firebending. While on the journey to get to Omashu, they make a few pit stops, and they're also very lucky to not get noticed. Finally, they arrive at Omashu. The group gets out, and then they walk to the place. They are greeted by guards and asked to state their presence, and Iroh states that he's a long-term friend with Bumi, and these are his students that would like to talk to Bumi. The guard is a little bit suspicious, though he lets them inside the walls, seeing that the old man probably does have business with Bumi. So, inside Omashu, they go to where Bumi is, and the guards let him inside again, explain that he's a friend of Bumi. Then, after that, they meet with Bumi. Iroh says it's been a long time since the White Lotus. Bumi is surprised to hear about the White Lotus, knowing it's been so long, and asks why he is here. Iroh then explains to train the Avatar, which is his nephew Zuko, to learn Earthbend, so he can get closer to mastering all 4 elements. Bumi thinks and says, does he at least know at least one other element? And Iroh explains just a bit of fire. Bumi says it would be harder to train without learning another element. Iroh says, we don't know of any other earthbending teacher besides you. Alright, Bumi says. It might be a little tougher, but I will accept it. He therefore gives Sokka, Katara, Iroh, and Zuko a place to stay. Throughout this point, we have not discussed what happened to those Fire Nation soldiers who got kicked off the ship. A lucky soldier survives and is lucky enough to get picked by another Fire Nation ship, as apparently it is Zhao's ship, and when the soldier gets picked, he alerts Zhao that there are 2 Fire Nation traders that kicked off many soldiers from the ship and have changed their coordinates. Zhao is enraged and says, where could they have possibly been going? The soldier says that it looks like they have been heading a bit up north. but to confirm where they are right now would be impossible. Zhao knows what he has to do next. He has to find Zuko and Aro because it could possibly be them, as he has not heard from them for a long time. Throughout the day, Zuko is given training with Bumi about how earthbending works, and Zuko finds it a little natural and not too hard. Sokka and Katara explore Omashu. Katara also tries to practice waterbending, but to little improvements. Iroh during this time reveals how they got to the Southern Water Tribe, and they might have some enemies who will try to track them down. Iroh and Bumi therefore make plans to say, if a Fire Nation army came to Omashu, what is their escape plan? And Bumi said there might be an underground bunker with a few small ships that can carry 4 people with a few small supplies. Will you stay in Omashu? Says Iroh. Bumi says no. I have to stay so I can reclaim it from the Fire Nation. You must go if they arrive. I will promise to take care of these Fire Nation soldiers. Also, to go back to Zuko, in addition to his training, he's also having dreams about a past Avatar named Ruku. He says he can help. In addition, he has some knowledge. Zuko isn't really the type of person who is spiritual, so he ignores these signs for a few days. And throughout these days, Zhao also has been getting knowledge about where Zuko is, and is just missing a certain thing to pinpoint their location. Next time we'll continue to find out where Team Avatar is with Zuko, Iroh, Sokka, Katara, and Bumi. So next time we'll discuss what will happen when Zhao comes to attack Omashu and what their plan will be. So another thing to note is, sorry guys if this isn't like how the characters actually are. I'm trying my best to guess how they would think and react in every situation. So welcome back to What If Zuko Became the Avatar Part 3. To recap what is known as this story's Team Avatar, they are currently staying in Omashu, training and exploring the place. Zhao currently does not have enough information to locate Team Avatar right now, so they're safe for now. It has been a few days since the last dream Zuko has had about a past avatar called Roku. However, to say Zuko is continuing to ignore these dreams, but they keep coming back stronger and stronger. And then he decides to talk to Iroh about it, and Iroh says it is very clear that you need to talk to this past avatar. It could be beneficial for your avatar training. So what Zuko does is he takes Iroh's advice and he talks to Roku about why he has been persistent in trying to connect with him. And Roku says, Avatar Zuko, I must tell you about Sozin's comment and its rival. Now, I would also like to say, why is Zuko having these dreams? Well, I would say since there's a much closer connection between Zuko and Roku, which is more than Aang's connection, since Zuko is a firebender avatar, and he's also a descendant of Roku, I would say that it would be much easier for Zuko to talk to him more than any other avatar. So as we get back to the story, Zuko is then told that he has roughly a year to master all 4 elements before Sozin's comment, which will boost firebending to an insanely powerful level, which would make being the Fire Lord tougher. After this dream, he tells Iroh about what Roku says, and he says a year might actually be enough time, as Zuko has already mastered earthbending, and will soon to be mastering waterbending when we get to the Northern Water Tribe. I think we can organize a plan to take out the Fire Lord before then. Planning is the most important thing. Now, one thing we have not talked about yet was is Zuko's mastery over earthbending. Now, Zuko is very confident in using earthbending attacks, and is not too difficult for him, as it's not too distant for from his personality, as Zuko can basically create makeshift walls as defense and launch boulders, and nothing too special for earthbending. Throughout these weeks, it is time to give Bumi a goodbye, as Zuko has fully become great at earthbending, as his skills are quite good. However, as Team Avatar turns to leave Omashu, they hear shouting outside. It's Zhao. How did he find us? Well, Zuko is right. How did Zhao find them? Well, with that big Fire Nation ship, a few people have reported it, and Zhao has gotten word of it and traveled to Omashu without them knowing. With this new information, Bumi says, I'll try to hold them off, but I might risk getting captured. But the thing is, Bumi then says, you can take the spare boats. They may not travel you so far, but at least they can get you far away from here. If you stay and fight, you might risk getting captured. So Team Avatar then leaves, saying they will come back to help Bumi with reinforcements. So after that, they go to the underground location, and then they use the boat to travel a somewhat far distance, in which they come across a little village. With Team Avatar, especially Zuko, discussing what should they do, as we lost our most valuable thing to go to the water tribe. Don't worry, Zuko says. Well, not Zuko, but Iroh says, we may have lost that, but we can still make it. They then reach land with Sokka and Katara being relieved after being near water for it seems like more than several hours, as they had to take turns paddling the boat. Once they all go towards the land, they meet a person who is training their earthbending. The person tries to flee, but Zuko quickly stops by blocking them off using earthbending. The person is scared and says, please, I don't want to be captured. And Zuko is confused. So Zuko then says, we are not trying to capture you, we just need your help, as Zuko breaks down the pillars of earth. He then says, we are good people, and we were just trying to escape the Fire Nation. The person then explains that his name is Haru, and he is in a similar situation. So then he explains to Team Avatar that the Fire Nation will capture anyone who is an earthbender. And then Iroh says, we could help you in any way possible. Haru is relieved. He says, with the amount of people, we might be able to break my father out from a Fire Nation prison. So we just need a way to get to the prison. How can we do that? It might be easy, since we're practically wanted at this point. So they go to the village where the Fire Nation is, and Zuko announces, you can take me to prison. The Fire Nation soldiers are a little suspicious at seeing him, but then he starts to earthbend. The soldier says that Iroh and Zuko look familiar. They remember that they saw them on a wanted poster, and they realized that they could make a big profit, so they decide to take them away, with Sokka and Katara also following their lead. After that, they are sent to prison in handcuffs. They decide that the best course of action was to organize a group to take back the prison. Throughout that time, they manage to find Haru's father during lunch as Zuko starts a riot. The warden starts paying attention as he would really know that these people are the ones on a wanted list. The warden this time takes a bit more action against Iroh and Zuko, knowing that they are highly wanted criminals at this point of the story. So the warden calls his guards to send them to a special cell, but then Zuko heats his handcuffs through increasing the temperature, and then he breaks it on the steel floor. And then, after that, Iroh does the same thing. The Fire Nation guards start to attack as Zuko and Iroh start to fire them together, and they attack both the warden and the guards blow after blow, like dodging and like countering any fire blast shot back at them. And they use this to knock the soldiers off the ship, including the warden. The prisoners are excited at this point, as well as Sokka and Katara, which their handcuffs are also broken. The prisoners then escape with Team Avatar, with Haru saying, "Thank you for your help." So I would like to say at this point in the story, it seems to be pacing very fast, and that's because I really want to get to the Northern Water Tribe, and that's where the major plot point of the story will start to take action and start to occur. So we get back to the story as Haru's father, Tyro, is amazed that these people are firebenders that actually saved them. Tyro also says, "How can we repay you?" And Iroh and Zuko says, "Is there any other ship they can take, as we need a ride out of there?" And they say that there should be more ships as they aren't for fuel or repairs. This is perfect, they say. So then after that, the group escapes with Team Avatar, and they head towards the ship by defeating more Fire Nation soldiers on the way, as they successfully take control of one good quality ship just ready to go after they're done fueling it. They then escape, with the group especially Sokka saying that was a close one. Now we are ready to set course for the Northern Water Tribe. Katara is also relieved, saying now she can finally improve her waterbending skills. Days have passed with Iroh talking to Zuko about them finally needing to complete one more piece in training. Which Zuko learns it will not be easy, as Iroh says to meditate to concentrate on mastering the Avatar state. Now, I know that seems a little random, but I think Iroh would know that the Avatar is very spiritual, and that's another part of training he would want Zuko to complete. So, after that, Zuko learns that the training will not be easy, as accessing the Avatar state takes a lot of effort and time, which he has never accessed before, as he has never been in a very dangerous situation in the story just yet. So, he decides to quit for the day. Throughout this time, they finally arrive near the Northern Water Tribe, where they are surrounded by people guarding the Northern Water Tribe, and as the ship approaches, which it is a Fire Nation one, they are confused on why a single Fire Nation ship would try to attack them. Team Avatar goes onto the deck of the ship, where they state their presence in which the Avatar is to learn waterbending. They then greet them as they are taken onto the ship and greeted by the people of the Northern Water Tribe. Zuko speaks and tells them that he is the Avatar. They are then transported to the place in Cannon, where they get used to their surroundings. Iroh and Paku meet, saying it's good to meet you. Iroh then explains that the Avatar is here, which is Zuko, to learn waterbending. Paku greets Zuko, saying that their training will begin soon to prepare for it. So after that, similar things also go in canon at this point, with Katara being rejected from learning waterbending. But this time, Zuko says that she should also learn waterbending, as having a training partner would be great. I know this may not seem like what Zuko would say, but with all the time he has spent with Katara, he would want her to learn waterbending, as they're really good friends at this point in the story. Paku thinks about this as he decides no, although disappointed in his efforts, Zuko says there might be another way for you to learn waterbending. So, after that conversation, we then want to talk about Zhao again. And Zhao is really mad at Zuko and Iroh escaping, and he's angry after they take Boomy away. And throughout this time, he's been trying to figure out where they have gone, and until recently, he has gotten reports that a rogue Fire Nation ship is, of course, heading north, which gives him the idea that they may have the Avatar and they are siding with him. So at this point, Zhao is not really playing around, and he realizes that he must take them by force. So he organizes an army to infiltrate the Northern Water Tribe to capture them and the Avatar. But the thing is, he does not know Zuko is the Avatar, so we'll find that later. And that's basically it for the story. So, I also wanted to say that thank you guys for 30 subscribers, as it has been really helpful in support with these what ifs. And I have a special video plan that's different from a what if, but I think it would be a great video to analyze Aang's fights throughout the series and how he improves as the Avatar. It's a little different, but I think would be great. So to recap, last time on this what if, we have talked about Zuko and basically the rest of Team Avatar going to the Water Tribe to learn waterbending. At this point of the story, Zuko has learned the elements faster than Aang, so the only element to be would be airbending. So now we head off to Zuko learning waterbending throughout his training with Paku. He has had a harder time with waterbending than with earthbending, as unlike earth or fire, he has had to deal with the natural flow and movement, which is unlike the other elements he has learned so far. So after a few frustrating attempts at learning the art of water, he decides to take a break and talk to Iroh about how water works. Throughout this time, Iroh gives him an explanation on how each element is different, like the one in canon. After that, Zuko then decides that he will be ready to try and practice waterbending tomorrow. Also, throughout this time, since Sokka never met Suki yet, in this timeline, he hangs out with Princess Yue. Also, Katara trains her healing ability from a class in the Water Tribe. The next day, when Zuko is training his waterbending, he is finally getting a better grip onto the element as a whole, and he's controlling the water and waving it back, but he cannot really control it well enough to attack, so he's trying to figure that out. However, everything goes wrong when they see particles of ash in the air. Zuko recognizes it immediately and says one word: Zhao. Zhao must have created a large fleet of ships to plan to attack the Water Tribe to capture him and Iroh. So Zuko realizes he must contact Zhao to immediately form a plan. So the thing is that this is basically how Zhao attacks the Water Tribe in canon, and so after that, the whole Water Tribe is alerted of the whole upcoming Fire Nation attack on the Water Tribe. Iroh, Sokka, and Katara, and Zuko realize they must form a plan for Iroh and Zuko, because they have to take out all those ships. For Sokka, you could help on the front lines, and Katara could also help with the plan again. As Zhao's ships gets closer, one Water Tribe member estimates they could fully breach the wall by the next day, and Fire Nation soldiers could arrive by midnight. As the plan is frantic, many of the leaders start to organize a plan to defeat the Fire Nation, as Zuko is the Avatar, and he talks about defeating the Fire Nation, attacking the Water Tribe. And Iroh talks about it too. So after that, a few hours pass, and it is starting to get dark outside, as night is approaching quickly, and the thing is that Iroh has now given the possibility for the first time entering the Avatar state, as Zuko with normal bending would not be able to outclass the ships and destroy them as easily as in canon. So Zuko decides to think about how you access the Avatar state, and he wonders how he will master it, as unlike Aang, he's not that spiritual and does not have a trigger yet. So he decides to think about that. After that, another few hours pass. Night is finally here. Zuko is distressed, but remembers the words of Iroh's to not wherein a solution will arrive soon. By this point, a small number of Fire Nation soldiers have snuck into the wall, and the Water Tribe is fending them off, as it is an intense battle as many firemen start to break the wall using firebending. On top of the ship, Zhao finally says, "You can no longer run, Iroh and Zuko, as you will be in deep trouble." As the intense battle goes on, again, time passes and it is midnight. 5 minutes after that, they have breached the walls. The main war with the Water Tribe is many members are using spears and a combination of water bending to fend off the Fire Nation soldiers. As Zhao approaches the fight between Iroh and Zuko, he says, "Finally, after all your running, I have finally caught up, so I'll be ending this right here." As Zuko prepares to fight, he's got a little bit more training of water bending, so after that, they go blow for blow with Zuko using fire and Zhao using fire. After a few blows of fire, it is time for Zuko to surprise Zhao with him using water bending to control and defend against Zhao's fire bending. Zhao is shocked as he has been chasing the Avatar the whole time, which is Zuko. He has to bring Zuko for the Fire Lord to kill him, even if it is his own son, as he does not care. Zhao says, "I don't care if you're the Avatar, you're still going to die." Zuko then uses an intense firebending blast to knock Zhao off his balance and to dodge and counter Zhao's firebending. Since Zhao was defeated with less training like the fighting canon, I can imagine with more training we can start to see Zuko dominating Zhao. So after that, he wins, and Zhao is knocked into a pool of water, and after that, many balls of fire are thrown at him, as it is an active battleground, and I assume that there would be many Fire Nation soldiers around Zhao, so they would probably knock Zuko into the water, but as he tries to escape, he's pulled by something. It's Zhao again. He tries to escape, but cannot. It seems like the world is taking a long time. Time slows down. However, Zuko thinks he cannot lose And so he thinks about Iroh, the world, and the Fire Nation, and with a sharp turn of strength, his eyes start to glow white. He then forms a tunnel of water and shoots up into the Avatar state as he starts bending massive amounts of water bending and forming tsunamis that swallow ships, and uses never seen before ear bending to throw the soldiers off the boats and ships. It goes like this for almost 2 minutes, utter domination, until he collapses. Everyone is shocked, including Iroh, and with the power they just witnessed. Iroh catches Zuko as he's very drained from using the Avatar Speak. However, this is what was needed to create the winning blow for the Water Tribe, as they managed to push back the ships, and by morning they have won, as all the fleets have been defeated. A mini celebration is welcome, as Avatar Zuko is thanked for his great help in capturing the Fire Nation. After this, I think it is finally time for Team Avatar to leave the Water Tribe, as Zuko has gotten a good grip on waterbending, although it was a lot more tougher to learn, as he has pulled through all odds. Using the ship, they have brought Team Avatar as they depart the Water Tribe. Zuko on the ship is happy at how he managed to access the power of the Avatar state, and is therefore surprised at how he won. Sokka and Katara also saying it's great that they won. Now, the aftermath of this attack is Zhao has vanished, likely captured by the Spear Lord like in canon, and that is dealt with. Now the group is deciding where they should go, as the final element to master is airbending, but there is no no elemental master for airbending. So they're thinking that maybe they could check out the temple, which would be the Northern Air Temple, as hopefully they can learn airbending there. But the thing is, Iroh says it's been a long time since the Air Nomad genocide, so it would be very unlikely to find an airbender, let alone an airbending master. So I think it would be best if we just focus on mastering the Avatar state as the ultimate tool for taking down the Fire Lord and ending the war. So they then decide to deeply think about what should be done, as Sokka gives the idea, why don't they head back to Amashu to help Bumi. So the group decides they could start talking about how they could counter the war, and Iroh says after that we can head to Boston City and help the people there. So a few days pass, and throughout these days, Zuko tries to meditate with Iroh to master the Avatar state, but with no success. They then realize they could practice later, and after that, they head back to Amashu like in canon. It is captured by the Fire Nation. Also, as part of the victory after the Water Tribe, we can now talk about Azula, since Zhao was unable to find the Avatar. Ozai sends Azula to find the Avatar, and Iroh and Zuko. Just then, a soldier breaks in. Although the Fire Lord is mad at him for breaking in like that, he is almost taken by the Fire Nation guards. But a soldier talks about how Zuko is the Avatar. Ozai is shocked and calls back to Azula to investigate this, to see if it is true. The soldier is then taken away. So I hope you guys enjoyed this what if, as it was a nice cliffhanger. The next part, we will discuss how they will organize their stuff for planning the war, maybe recruit the White Lotus, and how they will fend off against the Fire Nation. So that's coming next time.
So, welcome back to the continuation of What If Zuko is the Avatar, and in this part, we will be discussing what happened in the last, and we'll continue. So, let's get into the what if. So, to recap, Team Avatar has just left the Northern Water Tribe, and they have arrived in Omashu, and a new villain will also arrive, which is Azula. So let's head into the story. Team Avatar with Zuko has arrived in Omashu. Seeing that the place is captured, Zuko is shocked at this, seeing how the Fire Nation never stops to take over many places of the Earth Kingdom. Sokka and Katara also feel saddened by this, but Sokka realizes, like in canon, he has a plan to reclaim this land. So he tells them the idea of forming a fake disease. Zuko says that idea seems a bit crazy, as Zuko thinks that they should strategically take them out by fighting. Iroh says, I think we should go along with Sokka's idea, as he may have a reason for that. So the group decides to go with Sokka's idea. So they then go to Mashu, where they meet a group, and they cause widespread panic with the pentapox. So they head further into Mashu, where they plan together to find where they are keeping Bumi. So they eventually do find Bumi, and since Azula is not there, as Zhao was likely the one to have Bumi captured, along with strongly being guarded. One of the people from the group say that Bumi is kept in the palace, so the group decides to go. They then head up there, where they have 4 Fire Nation guards guarding the entrance. Sokka then says they should sneak attack, as Zuko could earthbend to stop them. So Zuko follows the order, where he uses earthbending and launches them up in the air with earthbending as they go down. They head inside, where more guards await. A Fire Nation guard says, "Did you see that attack?" "Yes, I did. It looks like we got some intruders trying to find Bumi." Zuko suddenly appears, using a firebending blast to knock them down, with their last words saying, "Zuko, I thought he was taken care of by Zhao." They then eventually head further, where Bumi's locked in a cage. "Don't worry, Bumi, we'll get you out," says Zuko. Bumi responds, saying it's time, as he uses earthbending to destroy the cage. The group is shocked at how Bumi did not need help at all, but then Bumi said, "You always have to wait for the right time to escape, which I was waiting for you." So Zuko learned waterbending, and Zuko bends water below, showing his ability to bend water. So Zuko has all 3 elements mastered. We're just missing air. Bumi responds, "We could go to one of the air temples, but the only problem is how will we get there, as the closest ships will take us is still too far away from the temples. Closest temple is the Eastern Air Temple, but maybe we could use Earthbend to get us there." So Bumi says it is best to start preparing for the war now, as after we master airbending, we could start planning for it. And I think there is a guru in the Eastern Air Temple, which you could talk to for him to master air and the Avatar state. So this could be the final step in winning the war, as Sozan's comment is close. Bumi then says, "Well, I will wait until you guys are ready, so I will just stay in Garumashu, and I might get captured again, but I will escape." So the group decides to depart, and they then decide to go to the Eastern Air Temple. After that, They depart on a ship. A bruised Fire Nation guard hears where they are going, which is the Eastern Air Temple. They say, I wonder where that could be, but I have to get this information immediately to Ozai. After that, they then think about how they're going to the Eastern Air Temple, but Zuko thinks to himself, he might use a combination of earth bending and fire bending to get up there, Zuko tells Iroh. After that, days have passed, and they are really close to the temple, but there is a person with a mini Fire Nation army far away, and will be arriving in 4 to 5 days, which is an estimated time. That is Azula. This time, Ozai tells Azula where they are headed, and decides the best point of action is to give Azula war balloons and a few tanks to go along with 2 friends, which are Ty Lee and Mai. Ozai says if you come back successful, you will finish what past Fire Lords could not have accomplished. Do not let that be you, says Ozai. Azula accepts the challenge and departs, setting sail for the Eastern Air Temple, and also using the war balloons. Danger lurks for Team Avatar. Now, within the next 5 to 10 hours, the group arrives below the Eastern Air Temple, wondering how they will traverse the environment. So the thing is, they never stated how steep the mountain is in Avatar, or if there is a pathway. So let's assume there is a path to climb up the mountain. However, for Zuko to climb up the mountain faster, Zuko guides Sokka, Katara, and Iroh using earthbending, and after a physically intensive hiking experience, they have finally made it up the mountain, and they are really exhausted. Sokka says, I'm never doing that again. The group laughs it off as they take a break, and after that, eventually walk again to find the guru meditating, knowing the group would eventually figure out how to get up to the mountain. So the guru says, I think you are here to master earbending and master the avatar state. It is an intensive process. Zuko says, I'm ready for whatever it takes to beat the Fire Lord. The rest of the group, including Sokka, Katara, and Iroh, just take a break. Zuko says they will start tomorrow because he is exhausted. After a day passes, Azula is very close to the Eastern Air Temple with an approximated time of arrival would be a day and 12 hours. Once Zuko gets up, the Guru explains the first part of training is to drink onion and banana juice, and Zuko is not used to the intense taste of the drink and thinks it's nasty. The Guru then says, you would have to get used to it, trust me, he says. Zuko then sits on the floor, and through all the meditation practice with Uncle Iroh, it is not that bad. The first thing we have to do is unlock all chakras. That will unlock airbending and control over the avatar state. So, a quick break from the story, as I think the hardest chakras for Zuko to unlock will be the Thought Chakra and Earth Chakra, because Zuko has been scarred by his father at a young age, and there's a lot of tension between them. So Zuko unlocks all other chakras, but has a harder time with the Thought Chakra as he has some attachments and the Earth Chakra. But after a strong mental battle, he unlocks the Thought Chakra, but is unable to unlock the Earth Chakra. So, after an intensive day of training, Zuko decides to sleep. In the morning, he thinks to himself that he can airbend now. And after that training session, he becomes calm, pushes his hand back, causing an intensive gust of wind to appear, and he thinks to himself that he learned airbending. But the guru says, you're not done with your training just yet, as you eventually will have to face your fear and unlock the earth chakra. Zuko then says, I will unlock that chakra eventually, just not now. The guru says, have a good day, and walks away. So, in the distance, they eventually see tanks climbing up in the mountain with a few war balloons in the sky. Zuko says, whoever Ozai sent here will be taken care of, but it could be Zula. After that plan, they then decides they will be using bending to knock out the ships and tanks. With Azula eventually using fire jets to jump down for an emergency landing on the side of the mountain. The battle sparks on, but we will be saving that for the next part of the What If, and I hope you guys enjoy this video with a little audio change, and that is basically it. Honestly, for this What If, it seemed like there will be another 3-4 parts, as Zuko has practically mastered all elements. They just need to plan out the war. So, to recap, in the last part of this What If, Ozai has sent Azula to deal with Zuko, who is supposedly the Avatar, because Azula does not know yet that Zuko is the Avatar. So, we start back at the Eastern Air Temple, where they basically defend against it, and they both use a combination of earth bending and fire bending to deal with the war balloons and ships, along with water bending. And the group has finally defeated most of the tanks and has taken out all the airships, with Team Azula climbing up the mountain with the few remaining firebending soldiers. Azula thinks to herself, how did they take out all the ships? Even if Zuko is the Avatar, I will take him down anyways. Time passes and the groups finally meet. Well, Zuko, says Azula, running from the Fire Nation with Iroh and a few friends. I see, well, let's fight. So, basically, they start fighting. So, it's Azula versus Zuko, Iroh, Katara, and Toph versus Mai, Ty Lee, and a few firebending soldiers. The first thing Azula does is use a combination of precise firebending blast to launch towards Zuko, but then Zuko uses airbending to counter. Azula says, you are truly the Avatar. It just means I will have to finish the job for Ozai, as you are always a traitor to the Fire Nation. Zuko then says, while still attacking, I realized I had a different purpose in life to protect the people, and not be like Ozai. I will defeat you, Azula, but I will spare you. Eventually, the tides begin turning as Zuko uses earthbending to block the firebending, countering with firebending, and using an airbending shield to shield himself from the firebending. Zuko continues to use more force, and he starts hitting Azula with more and more fire and blast. Azula desperately losing at this point. Lightning bends, and Zuko grounds himself to redirect it. Azula launches it, but changes her mind and launches it at Katara while fighting Mai and Zuko. With quick thinking, Earth bends a wall to block the lightning. It is explosive, but at least it doesn't kill them. With Azula cornered, she has no other option to firebend to try to get away, but Zuko airbends and firebends, countering the attack completely. And basically, Azula is defeated for now, lying unconscious on the ground. The battle for Iroh, Sokka, Katara is going well, with Iroh defeating the soldiers, with Mai being assisted by Ty Lee. When Ty Lee hits Sokka's arm, it goes limp. Iroh takes note of this and dodges and firebends and outward, causing a barrier of fire to block Ty Lee. I would say that this fight would be a bit challenging, but with the extra training this group has received, they would easily take them out. I would not underestimate them, as they're going against a team Avatar that has more time to train and has Uncle Iroh. As the fight settles down, Zuko tells the rest of Team Avatar what should they do. And then Sokka says, we should leave them. I agree, says Uncle Iroh. When they wake up, they'll try and catch us again, but once we get the rest of the White Lotus, we should be okay. We should start plotting for the war. I think we'll need a serious army for Sozin's Comet. With all the training this group has received, I would estimate that they would have 1 to 2 months before Sozin's Comet. And let's get back to the story. And where the Guru was meditating, feeling the battle, they tell them goodbye as the Guru wishes them good luck on their next journey for recruiting warriors for Sozin's Comet. So the group's first step is taking the ship back to the Earth Kingdom, where in a week they arrive at Omashu again, where they meet Bumi once again locked up in chains, but they again free him. So it appears you have mastered the Avatar state in airbending, says Bumi. I think it is time to start organizing plans for the war, says Bumi. Alright, but we need to first recruit the rest of the White Lotus. Through a long journey, the second on the list is Zhong, a legendary firebending master. It takes some time to get there as the group travels and travels. The next White Lotus member is Piandao, where Sokka finds expertise in swordsmanship. Sokka is finally excited to have an ability to fight using swords. Even Zuko is happy to know that Sokka has finally found the right weapon to use. However, as the group begins to depart with Piandao, the sun darkens, and then Iroh says, it's a solar eclipse, and everybody is shocked as they could have used this opportunity to sneak into the Fire Nation capital to get information about Ozai's plans, as you cannot firebend on a solar eclipse, says Iroh. However, since in this what if the group did not go to the Ear Temple where the inventor was at, they did not properly organize a plan against the Fire Nation capital, so it does not take place. The group is shocked for minutes of how this opportunity could have been used more wisely. Iroh tells the group to not worry. We shall keep organizing more people to fight for the war. As time passes, the solar eclipse ends and firebending returns to every firebender. Team Avatar settles down and everyone decides to start planning for the big day of Sozin's Comet. The next day passes and Piandao goes with Sokka to train more and obtain his meteorite sword. With almost all the White Lotus members together, they start to split off. Bumi, Piandao, and Zhong want to free Ba Sing Se, but Iroh wants to stay with Team Avatar to guide them for the war. As Team Avatar says goodbye to the 3 members of the White Lotus, they hope they will arrive with backup reinforcements in the Earth Kingdom. However, in a place far away, Team Azul is searching for the Avatar once again. Azul thinks to herself how Zuko is so powerful and how she is weaker than him, which makes Azul driven to get better than Zuko and to take him out. So basically, that's it for this part of the What If. In the next episode, we will discuss how Team Avatar and the White Lotus recruit some more members before finally the dawn or day before Sozin's Comet arrives. Welcome back to What If Zuko was the Avatar. Now, I was thinking that this would be the final part for the series, but there will be an extra part after this, However, today's video will cover the remaining storyline of Avatar dealing with Sozin Comet and Zuko versus Ozai. So, we recap in the last part of this what if, where Team Avatar has fought against Team Azula, in which they have won. However, Azula and her friends managed to run away. In the last part of this, the solar eclipse happened. However, since no one knew that a solar eclipse would have arrived, the first invasion of a Fire Nation capital does not happen. So, basically, after that, we get back into the story where Team Avatar has now decided to reside at the same location of Team Avatar in the original storyline, which is the Fire Lord's beach house, as Iroh, Katara, Sokka, and Zuko stay there for the time being. Now, I would like to say that there would be no invasion on the solar eclipse, since Sokka's father is not in the boiling rock, neither is Suki, because in this time they never met and they never had the invasion, so we don't need to cover that in the story. So, with that, the final week that they have Sozin Comet is spending time for mental and physical training for tackling our Lord. 2 days before Sozin's Comet, with Team Avatar currently near the house that is safe from the Fire Nation, Iroh decides that it is time to ask Zuko if he's ready to take down Ozai. Zuko says he is ready, but he's wondering how should he approach the Fire Lord. Zuko then says, "For my whole life I have been treated badly by Ozai. I have learned that he has gone on a path of no return. Whatever he does shall be his own doom," says Zuko. "I think the past year has been rough for you, Zuko. Although you had to make a lot of tough decisions, and I'm glad you have chosen the right path, which is your own destiny." Zuko then says, "Thank you, Uncle Iroh." "Alright," Zuko says, "it is time we start leaving for the day of Sozin's Comet. You plan to fight the Fire Lord, but what will you do about Azula? She is ready to become Fire Lord. I think we, Sokka, Katara, Iroh," says Zuko, "if you attack, I think the White Lotus has brought reinforcements for the war, and they also have backup for the airships." Iroh then says, "Even though it may not be the best decision to make, it is a very tough choice, as I can not help the White Lotus, as we will have to rely on someone else." After this discussion, the rest of Team Avatar is discussing plans to help take out Azula. Sokka, a little frightened, questions the idea of fighting Azula, as Sokka says, "Azula is crazy. We need to set up a plan." Sokka then says, "Maybe we could set up a trap." Katara, "Maybe we could use some sort of chain to restrict Azula, plus freezing water to trap Azula." "It sounds simple," says Sokka, "but it might be difficult if Azula figures out what we're doing, as we need to think this through carefully." Zuko says, "I think the idea is perfect." Team Avatar then decides to spend the hours and days remaining to get the chain. They decide that Katara carries the chain in a bag and pulls it out while fighting Azula with water bending alongside Iroh. 12 hours before Sozin's Comet remains. Alongside mental preparation for Zuko and Team Avatar, there's nothing else to really say for them. For Team Azula, Mai would probably know about Zuko, about how he's the Avatar, and alongside Ty Lee would eventually probably realize they should help out Team Avatar, as even though there was no boiling rock prison break, we will eventually see Ty Lee and Mai betray Azula. This might be bad news for Team Avatar though, as Azula is basically more powerful, as she never got betrayed by Mai and Ty Lee. So finally, the day of Sozin's Comet is here, and the White Lotus and their army is helping liberate Ba Sing Se. Since Iroh's not there, the army waits for Zhang command, as a similar event as Iroh launches a fireball at the wall. Zhang charges his own blast as he breaks down the wall, and the battle begins with them doing similar events in canon. Nothing too different, as the same things happen even if Iroh is not there. The battle against Ozai versus Zuko is the most hyped up event in this What If series. So the fight starts off with a massive fire blast that burns down the forest. As Zuko arrives using airbending and firebending to help take down the ships, similar to Aang, although a bit differently. Just like in canon, Ozai burns down the forest as a test of common enhanced firebending. As Ozai lands on the rock pillars, Zuko decides to talk to Ozai. It seems like I will have to fight you, father. Ozai then responds, my own son is the Avatar. I knew you were always weak, Zuko, and once I end you for all, no one will stop me. As Zuko gets ready to fight, he responds, I knew you would never change, father, and you'll always be the tyrant that you are. As Ozai begins to firebend at Zuko, Zuko counters with his own firebending blast as both firebending cancels out. After that, Ozai uses his fire wedge to get closer and attack using a fast firebending kick with Zuko airbending this time and going on the defensive option. As Zuko traverses the landscape of rocks, he then thinks to himself, how could he take out Ozai? As he then sees a pool of water and water bends as Ozai vaporizes it with his firebending. Zuko then charges his own blast while dodging Ozai attacks as he attacks Ozai. As Ozai easily counters it with him being pushed back by the force of it, Zuko then earthbends and throws pellets propelled by airbending as Ozai uses his firebending to dodge it, although with some difficulty. Zuko then thinks to himself, every type of bending I throw at him, it just doesn't work. What should I do now? As Zuko, behind the rock, he earthbends the rock upward as he propels himself upward using airbending as he lands on the rock, as he then shoots fire and air back at Ozai with two hands. Ozai, a bit caught off guard, uses firebending. As Ozai lands on the rock, he decides it is time for him to use lightning bending as Ozai shoots it back, thinking Zuko does not know how to redirect it. Zuko braces himself for the attack as Ozai is smiling at how the Avatar will finally be out of his way. As Zuko then uses a technique Iroh taught him as he redirects the lightning back at Ozai. As Ozai is shocked, I would like to say that since the invasion of the Black Sun was also never planned or organized, Ozai does not know Zuko knows how to redirect lightning, and that is why Ozai is shocked. Now, would Zuko want to kill Ozai? Well, still no, because Zuko realizes that it would be a burden on his mind, and the public would probably have a negative opinion of his son killing his father. So, since he realizes this, he directs it in a way that should not kill Ozai, but should lessen the impact of the lightning. As it is redirected at Ozai, he then tries to firebend/block to get away as he tries to dodge it, but he still gets hit by the blast as Ozai falls to the ground. As Ozai is weakened, he uses his last strength of energy to hit Zuko as he is near, but Zuko just blocks it. As Ozai slowly fades unconscious, even with the amount of strength you have, you still fail to kill me, says Ozai as he goes unconscious. As Ozai finally ends up unconscious, he checks Ozai's breathing, and he realizes that he must seek medical attention for a sustained blow. With that, the fight is over as he checks to see if his pilot is nearby as he begins to fly in the ship, as the pilot is scared of Ozai's body as Zuko begins carrying it, saying, how did he defeat the Fire Lord? So then we head back elsewhere where a fight begins where the strategy Sokka has planned using Katara's waterbending and Iroh's firebending, he manages to deploy the attack as they stop her from being Fire Lord. Azula then says, I see you want to fight. Even if it is you three against me, you will all perish as I declare Agni Kai, and this time it's a 1 versus 3. Iroh then says it did not have to be this way as he prepares to fight. Sokka then prepares his plan, and as Katara with her waterbending, as Azul launches a massive beam of fire at Iroh, Iroh disperses it, but since he's not as nimble as Zuko, he focuses on his overall technique, Then Katara scans the arena as Azula notices shooting fire at her, as Sokka visually communicates with Katara to discuss their plan. As Katara uses her water bending to deflect the fire, it vaporizes instantly as she locates the same running water like in canon, and Katara used the rest of her water to help fight Azula. As Azula decides it is enough, as she firebends some more, with her eventually using lightning at Katara. With no way to counter the attack, she is hit by the shockwave by the blast. As Katara runs toward her, Iroh tries to stop her, but Azul goes for a close range attack and dodges Iroh. So then Sokka and Iroh shout now as Katara uses her waterbending to let it rise and freeze Azula. Even though Azula's not crazy, she still falls for the same plan as she, at all costs, is going for the quickest kill. So she targets Katara as the main person helping Iroh, and then she will finish Iroh and Sokka. As Azula is frozen, Katara ties the chain around her, quickly capturing her as Iroh is relieved that they finished the plan without any casualties. Zul then says, "You think these chains will stop me? I will just firebend and break out." Just then, someone attacks Azula as Azula falls to the ground, as it is Mai and Ty Lee. As Azula hears their voices, she says, "Traitors." Then Mai says, "We realize that you are crazy and you really didn't care about us." Just then, an airship lands as Zuko arrives with an unconscious Ozai, and everyone is glad that Zuko is alive as he's carrying Ozai. Sokka asks if he's dead. Zuko then says no, but we'll need a doctor. I decided that Ozai must be kept alive in order to help with public order. As everyone celebrates, they leave with Ozai, who needs medical care, and Azula is put in a better place. So, one day later, everyone is gathered from the forces of the war. Zuko thanks everyone for the help that they needed in ending this war, as he says this war has been going on for far too long and has finally come to an end, as Zuko realizes he, as a person who has changed as a result of the people around him that have guided him to the path. Then he declares Uncle Iroh to be the Fire Lord, as Zuko realizes that the Fire Nation has the power to end tyrants through a process which stops leaders from becoming corrupt. And Zuko then says, no one will have to be fearful of the Fire Nation anymore, but be allies with them. The war ends as the series ends. Now, one last thing I'd like to say for the main story, and that there will be a part explaining what happened to Toph, Suki, Azula, and Ozai. But besides that, this story of what if Zuko became the Avatar is the end, and I hope to create great what ifs like this in the future. So this is just the final part of how Zuko becomes the Avatar in this what if, and what he does differently than Aang. This is also the final part I'm going to do until we extend it to the Legend of Korra and how that's going to play out differently. So, the questions that we still have not answered in the last part is what happened to Toph in this what if. In this what if, Toph gets older around 10 to 20 years after the war ended. She escapes from her parents' household, and I guess you could say that in this timeline, Toph is still the earth-bending prodigy. However, even if Toph does not escape right away with Team Avatar, I still believe that Toph would eventually find a way to escape her parents and become an earth-bending prodigy, in which her parents send the same people in canon, just a bit older, to trap Toph in a metal box. And in the same timeline, Toph figures out the secret to metal bending, and that still happens. So I really don't see too much of a difference, except that everybody is much older, and Toph just has a much later start in the series. So Toph still becomes the greatest earthbender of all time, and the first metalbender. Now on to Avatar Zuko in this timeline. Goes to meet with Toph in this timeline due to how popular Toph is becoming in the world of earthbending, as he never thought of bending metal, which was never seen in this what if. So that's something new. Avatar Zuko is proud to see that bending is getting better with each generation. This eventually leads to similar events in canon, as I feel like Republic City or a city of some sort would emerge within the near future of this what if, as Zuko is still here to witness it, as he was never trapped in an iceberg like Aang. As for Sokka, he eventually meets Suki, as I think that is a good fit for the ending of the story, as it is not known what happened to Sokka in the original story after the war ends, in basically the Legend of Korra. Now, for you Zutara fans, this what if creates the right scenario where Zuko ends up with Katara after the war ends. Since Katara never met Aang in this what if, after the 100-year war ends, a city is created where a statue of Zuko is there to honor this city. Also, for the fate of Ozai and Azula, like in the comics, Azula is still crazy, but still hangs out with Team Avatar. So basically, if anybody wants me to cover the events of the comics, please tell me, as we're going to start the Legend of Korra the next time this what if shows up. Now for Ozai, he's basically held in the most secured prison in the world, hidden deep below layers of ice in the Northern Water Tribe by the best benders of each nation, selected by Avatar Zuko, as Zuko still visits him time to time. Now, heading further near the timeline of Legend of Korra, we can say that the successor of Iroh would be a trusted person of the royal family until Zuko's daughter, Fire Lord Azumi, takes over. Now, I know this was a short, extended part, but this was just a wrap-up for the events of Avatar: The Last Airbender after the war, unless you want me to cover the differences in the comics and how they play out. But for now, the next part of this what if will start the timeline of The Legend of Korra, as this is the end for the story of what if Zuko was the Avatar in Avatar: The Last Airbender.